Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think live service games are good or bad? There has been a lot of drama over the last, I want to say basically the decade, about live service games and how people feel about them. Games like Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, CSGO, Valorant, you name it. All of these games are live service, and their business model is to have you, the consumer, buy their stuff, buy their skins, weapon skins, costume skins, cosmetics, whatever it is that they are selling in their shop. As their job to sell you a product, they want you to make that return in their pockets to make sure you purchase the items that they have in store. Now, you might be asking, why am I asking you this question on whether live service games are good or bad? Because Sony thought it was a good idea to shut down one of their development houses who made great games amongst the PlayStation lineup. We're talking about the Demon Souls remake when the PS5 first dropped. The critically acclaimed popular Demon Souls was remade from the ground up, and even though I would say it didn't sell as much as they probably expected due to the PS5 being scalped and then being overpriced 2 to 3 times its a regular MSRP, they still put out great products. But come to find out, Sony has shut down BluePoint Games, dev behind consistently great remakes. It's just crazy how all of these studios, whether you're bringing in the money or not, you're always gonna be on the chopping block for their bottom line, man. This is crazy work. It says BluePoint Games, the developer behind 2020's Demon Souls Remake, has reportedly been shut down, according to Blue Sky's post by reporter Jason Schreier. A PlayStation spokesperson told Bloomberg that roughly 70 staff members have been cut, with the studio's closure coming sometime in March following a recent business review. BluePoint Games is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has delivered exceptional experiences for the PlayStation community. The spokesperson told Bloomberg, "We thank them for their passion, creativity, and craftsmanship." Founded in Austin, Texas in 2006, BluePoint Games was an accomplished studio that Sony acquired in September 2021. It was primarily known for remastering classic PlayStation games from God of War, Uncharted, to Gravity Rush, and Shadow of the Colossus. It really became a more household name following the release of 2020's Demon Souls, a visually arresting remake of the From Software's dark fantasy epic. BluePoint Games was more recently working on a live service God of War game, but PlayStation canceled that in January of 2025. So, translation on this first section of the article. Apparently, BluePoint was working on a God of War live service game. This is something that, if you are in the know, you already knew about. Apparently, they was working on some God of War live service game. We didn't know too much about it, but we could only assume that it was going to probably follow closely in the footsteps of something like God of War Ascension back in the day. If you haven't played God of War Ascension, there was a multiplayer component to it, to where you basically create your own Spartan, put your own gear on, and it was kind of like an arena fighter. You just go around certain parts of maps and you just fight people, and whoever had the most kills or whatever type of game mode it was, that person or team wins. So I can only assume that they were going to probably follow something similar in that aspect. Now, why they shut them down is still kind of up in the air, because again, they make really great games. They made amazing remakes: Demon Souls, Uncharted, Gravity Rush, Shadow of the Colossus. So what made them actually shut the company down? And to answer that question, there's an easy answer. It's what I asked you in the beginning of this video. Do you think live service games are good or bad? Sony seems to be having this trend on not focusing on the quality of single player games anymore. It seems that they're moving to wanting to just create live service games, create something that just generates revenue time and time again, and it's starting to backfire because a lot of people aren't fond of live service games. Now, me personally, I do play live service games. I play multiplayer games. I play single player games. I pay for microtransactions in some games that I might like. So yes, while you could probably say I am part of the problem on why I keep these live service games going, it still doesn't change the fact that there are people that are against live service games, especially for certain franchises that they just feel like shouldn't be touched in that manner, to where it's multiplayer and it's supposed to run for 10 plus years and it's supposed to sell you on something. There are some fans that are not with that idea. And that brings me to this post that I saw the other day. It says, Jim Ryan, Sony's overly zealous live service push has got to be one of the worst decisions PlayStation has ever made, in my opinion. Last of Us multiplayer canceled, meaning Naughty Dog are almost skipping the entire generation. Biggest flop ever of all gaming with Concord. Multiple live service games canceled, wasting time and closing studios. Making BluePoint do live service instead of making another game people love and then closing them down. And as you can see, some pictures, it shows Concord, the Last of Us live service game that I believe was shut down last year. And I heard it was like pretty long ways of almost being done, or at least shown off, but Sony completely scrapped that game. And of course, we have the new Horizon Hunter's Gathering game that's supposed to be coming out. So it just seems like Sony is really harping on the live service model, and I honestly can't fully get behind that. And I have to say, this just screams corporate greed. This just screams capitalism over everything, over creativity, over delivering games and creating games that people want to play. People have been desiring to play. And for them to go ahead and just can BluePoint is crazy to me. Like, y'all rather have them work on a live service God of War game than to have them make a remake of Bloodborne or a 60 FPS 1080 4K version of Bloodborne. People been screaming and asking, including me, for a Bloodborne remake or a Bloodborne remastered for years now. But y'all would rather go ahead and be like, nah, we don't want to really make money. Let's go ahead and make a God of War live service game. Like, how would that honestly even work? In no universe do I truly see a God of War live service game make sense. What would the game type be? What would the premise of it be? Only thing closest I could think of is, like I said, God of War Ascension, where it's just essentially a battle arena. Y'all just fighting to the death, or y'all just getting the most kills, or a certain team is, doing a certain objective. I don't see this truly working. Or would it have been more of the formula that they're doing with Horizon Hunter's Gathering, where you're on a team of 3 or 4 people, y'all go out and kill certain monsters and creatures, or Greek gods or Norse gods, however they were going to be going in sort of the theme of God of War. They could have went with the Greece theme, or they could have went with the Norse theme. I just don't see how that would work. It's just very disappointing to see where the direction PlayStation and Sony is going when it comes to the games that they create. They had so many live service games in the works, and out of all of them, I honestly was looking forward to the Last of Us one, because the Last of Us 1 multiplayer was really good. I think it was really solid for a game that was more so single player focused and single player heavy. They made a pretty compelling multiplayer. It just lacked a lot of updates or things that need to be put into the game, like levels, weapons, certain bombs and certain traps that you could put down. I feel like they had something pretty solid, and seeing how they didn't bring it back for The Last of Us 2, probably because they were working on the live service one. Maybe when Last of Us 2 was in the middle of development, or probably closer into development towards the end of it, they probably split up the team to go work on the live service game. I was really curious to see how that would have worked out. It wasn't too much details about it. I just know that they said they had quite a bit of work done on it. And just from like the image that they shown, like as you can see, there's two people here on the roof kind of scoping out. You see the infected down at the bottom, some clickers. She has a sniper rifle. He has a Molotov. There's probably, if it was a thing where it's like multiple people on a map, there's probably other people in these houses, other people on the rooftop, or somewhere back here, maybe somewhere in the city. We didn't know too much about it to know exactly what type of game type it was going to be, but just from this image alone, I felt like it was going to be a pretty massive game. Maybe a little battle royale-ish or a team survival kind of vibe, maybe something similar to like Left 4 Dead, you know, Back 4 Blood, World War Z, something like that. We just knew that it was multiplayer and it was gonna be infected, so it could have been something like a PvPvE kind of deal, which, like I said, I was excited to see at least something to show what this could have been, but Sony ended up canning it. So out of all the live service games that were canceled or came out and then got canceled, The Last of Us was probably the only one I was looking forward to. Back to the point of them just completely wiping out BluePoint Studios just doesn't make sense to me, man. These people had made amazing remasters, the amazing Demon Souls Remake, and like I said, I know that game didn't sell as well as it should have due to the PS5 being scalped and then being sold for 2-3 times the original price. They had a lot of freaking great games made, man, and all y'all had to do was just have them remaster or remake something else. Bloodborne would have been a cash cow, man. Y'all chose to go for a God of War live service game, and I can't get behind that. I just can't. It seems every single day for the last couple of years, it's just been highly depressing to be a gamer. I genuinely believe we're living the best era in gaming history, probably. There's so many great games coming out, so many great AAA games, AA games, indie titles. There's so much variety now, but yet it seems to be like if your game just ain't good right off the gate, right off rip, then you're just cooked. Like you're on the chopping block. And this just goes for the recent High Guard. This game was supposed to be like a heavy hitter. The moment it came out, they thought people was going to jump on this shit and stop playing whatever that they were playing to play their game. And even though I defended, you know, the studio and the game High Guard because I genuinely did like it, I enjoyed my time with it, that's just not a realistic thinking. You shouldn't be thinking that the moment your game drop is gonna be the new hot shit. That's not how this works. This is an oversaturated market now where so many games are doing similar things, but yes, they try to put their own twist on it, and some stick and some just fall. So yeah, like the fact that Sony is trying to go with this all live service, I'm just not for that model, man. Like, whatever happened to the really good methodical single player games? It's just not the same now. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on this whole BluePoint Studios getting shut down and the direction that PlayStation and Sony is going with these live service games and not really focusing on the single player aspect now. All of these studios getting shut down, all these cancellation live service games. I really wish I saw what The Last of Us could have been, but guess we'll never see. The only next big real PlayStation exclusive game that is going to be coming in the next couple of years is Intergalactic, and people are already painting their story on what they think that game is going to be about, because again, the gaming community is fucking weird, man. Y'all just be pushing these narratives. The moment y'all see something, y'all start ragging on it. Y'all did it with High Guard. Y'all did it when Intergalactic got shown. Y'all saw a chick was bald and that was it. Y'all just said, oh, this game woke. This game gonna be trash. This shit is this shit is that. And a lot of that hate honestly just comes from people just not liking Neil Druckmann, people that just shit on The Last of Us, specifically Last of Us Part 2. Still kind of don't know what people's issues was with that game. Yeah, the game has some issues, but the game was genuinely phenomenal. It was great. It was amazing. I'm just rambling at this point, but let me know down below in the comments. Be sure to leave a like, be sure to leave a comment about what is currently going on in the gaming space. I'm not sure which video is going to come out first, either this one or the other video that's happening is related to Xbox. But yeah, let me know down below what you think about all these studio closures, all of these games being canceled. Would you actually want to see a God of War live service game from BluePoint, or would you rather have seen Bloodborne? I'm kind of in that ladder of seeing Bloodborne, but yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Until next time, I will see you guys in another video. Peace.